Joining me on the news now is a public affairs analyst and legal practitioner, Tohwo Oseruvwoja. Welcome, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. So, sir, you've heard all our news stories. You've seen what is making the headlines. So, starting with the ASUU story, what do you think is causing the rift? Whenever you hear about the rift between the federal government and ASUU, what comes to mind?
Well, this has been a crisis in Nigeria. And obviously, it has become an occurrent event during any given electionary period in Nigeria. But however, there's something that pains the average Nigerian most, that the development of every given society is born out of the education and impact gotten from the university, from the primary down to the secondary, down to the university level. Then if that is subjected or is brought under a political arrangement, and let me use the word, a political arrangement or a political tool to determine whoever wants to, whoever will win any upcoming election, is very, very bad in Nigeria. It's very, very bad. I'm not castigating ASUU. Do you understand? Because they have the right. Obviously, what they are fighting for, what ASUU is fighting for, is what the student union government, the national the Nigerian National Student Association, whether the NAS, are to be fighting for. But since they've let go of their guard, ASUU is taking it upon themselves to fight for the future of Nigeria. Yeah. The Nigerians, the future of tomorrow leaders. It's not a news or it's not a rumor that if you go to the universities in Nigeria today, particularly public institutions, you discover that they are just glorified, not secondary school, glorified primary school that cannot be compared. But however, we should also not forget the fact that the corruption in the university sector is something to be looked into, particularly the master of all, the vice chancellor, the way they manage resources given to them is something worrisome that they should look into. But that do not mean that is not an excuse for governments not to respect agreements entered. Because what defines a responsible man is for you honoring an agreement entered without any issue of coercion and any other thing. Because if we keep doing this in the sense that we are negotiating, then after 2019, after the call of the strike now, then the next time again, the next 6 months again, student will go back home without the problem solved, without anything tangible to point that, okay, we stayed at home for 1 month or we stayed at home for 2 weeks, and this is the result of what they fought for. It's really sad.
Yes. So talking about discourse now, still on education, the discourse on security in unity schools, why is this coming now when a lot of students have already been abducted?
Okay, well, you know, there's nothing in issue of security. There is never anything late at all. It is better we learn from the mistake and at the same time amend areas in which such mistake will not occur again. So if they spend such amount of money for the purpose of securing the life of students in school, I think is a commendable effort. But my fear, which is the fear of every average Nigerian, is that money they said that they've spent in securing unity school, can it be commensurate with what we have on ground? Can it be commensurate? Is it that they engage private security agencies that is owned by some elite in the society for the purpose of telling people that, okay, your life, the life of the student are secured? It goes beyond that. Issue of security of a nation has to do with issue of ideology. You must partner with the community. And there is no way, if the community do not welcome any act of insecurity, that the act of insecurity can be perpetrated in that community. So it's a welcome development for our government. Well, let me use the word for the government, but let's see it in ground, not just coming on air or making it an accolade to them, because it's part of their responsibility to secure every life in Nigeria.
Yes. So speaking about the government, now in Kaduna, we've seen a young presidential aspirant Fela duro to a flagging of his campaign. Now, what do you see? Do you see this young man making any impact in the presidential race?
Well, as a youth, I think it's too early. Like I do tell people who ask me, I said it's too early to determine who emerges the president of Nigeria come 2019. But nevertheless, we won't take anybody for granted. Because one, I don't want to play politics of because somebody is a youth, I must align with that person. No, we are bringing a division. We are bringing another style of racism. We are looking at the competence of the person. And if he is fine, we have about 71 of them. And their manifestos are well opened. And one of the major things that is so striking in all their manifestos, including Dorothy they are just made his own open. Okay. Sometimes you discover that there is great disconnect between what the Nigerian masses want and what they are saying. And another thing again is that there's also a great connect between the Nigerian masses and those who are seeking to rule them or to lead them. And what is that? The Nigerian mindset, like I tell people as a public analyst, the Nigerian mindset has been so subjected to the fact that you should tell them what they want to hear, not what they want to hear, what they should know. And what is the fact now? If you look at all the aspirants, about 70–80% of them are capitalizing on this popular cliche, restructuring. So sometimes I ask myself, does the executive arm of government have the needed power to restructure the nation? If we are talking about people who to promise us restructuring, that is misplaced priority. You look at the legislative arm, those going to the legislative arm, because for a restructuring to really occur in Nigeria, there must be amendment of existing laws. Even the constitution needs to be altered, and that is not an executive role. It starts from the legislative arm to amend what to need to be amended. Some of the institutions, some of the institutions will be collapsed to enable this restructuring they are preaching come to be. But you see, Nigerians will just look at them, and Nigerians will just say, okay, he promised us restructuring. How can a president? This is not a military era whereby you can just make a decree. It has to go through a process. The Senate is there, the House of Reps is there, they now come to the House of Assembly. Then if the executive refuse, they can veto whatever areas they think is of the interest of Nigeria. So it's good. It's good for all it.
But my question is I'm not talking about emergence of presidents now. Yes. I'm saying, in your opinion, do you think Fela Dorotoye will make any impact in this presidential race?
Well, like I told you, I think it's as if you are twisted the question. Like I told you earlier on, I said it's too early, even for a prophet to determine who will win 2019 election, because events unfold daily. Yes. Events unfold daily. Who will believe that? 2 months back, who believed that the presidential aspirants in Nigeria will climb up to 71? This is the highest we've ever had in the history of the country. So we will still be surprised. We will not be surprised that maybe even the so-called big party, which people have made it so known to us that there is big and small party, which I'm against that. We only have the ruling and the opposition parties. Do you understand? So we'll be surprised that maybe obviously. Okay,
talking about this now, the ruling and all of that, the APC and PDP, as you've already stated, seem to be the two parties making major headlines. How do you think we can make Nigerians to be fully aware that we are not running a two-party system?
Good. That boils down to the media now. It is the media. Because it's what you put out that the people, the media plays a very vital role, which is not, I think, is the fourth rank of government. Yeah. They play a vital role that is what you put out, that the people would project. And the more you start reducing the focus to APC, PDP, and neglecting the others, do you understand? You are trying, by what way, I don't really, but you are trying to actually kill the options available to Nigerians. You are killing the options available to Nigerians. Sell out the ideas, sell out the candidates. Do you understand? Sell out the candidate, because if you don't sell out the candidate as a conventional media, the social media is there to manipulate the mind of Nigerians. So that is why you need to balance your reportage in terms of do not be surprised that even there are parties that have much crisis bigger than the one PDP and APC is facing. But because of resources that could not be spread around for people to know what is going on. That's why people just believe that APC, PDP, Tohwo. It's the only political party we have in
Okay, so
Nigeria.
you're blaming the media.
No,
You're putting it on the media.
I'm not actually blaming the media, but I'm calling on the media to balance their reportage in terms of political activities in Nigeria. I was really impressed when I saw a political party declaration and other stuff, and it described that it's few among the majority conventional media that will report such events. And how many Nigerians have access to this kind of information? How many Nigerians? There was a time I was traveling from Jos to Abuja, and the woman was just talking that the only two parties we have in Nigeria is APC and PDP. So there's a misinformation somewhere.
Yes.
So I think it's over to you now.
Talking about this woman now, let's talk about women in politics.
Yes.
To Benue, where women participation in politics is a topic of discourse. Whenever you hear this, what comes to mind? Well,
women in politics, first of all, the issue we are going to have in it is when we start drawing the identical line. Nobody stops anybody for contesting or participating in any political activities. It's left for you as an individual. Until the women in particular, if you will look at it, I think we have about 5 female presidential aspirants. You see the women are not even talking about that 5. So it's not about identity. The identity comes in for the purpose of relevance. Yeah, after the relevance, and the relevance is of selfish interest. Do you understand? Till Nigerians, particularly the youth, the women, do you understand? And I believe the Constitution of Nigeria expressly states it. There should be no discrimination. So why are you not saying that because I'm a woman, I don't want to? Who asked you not to belong to a political party, first of all? I tell people, when someone say you're a politician, I say yes. I'm a politician, but it's not my profession. It's not a career. It's a way of life, which I'm duty-bound to live by. But if you talk about career and profession, I'm a legal practitioner. Until Nigerians, everybody, every square of life understand this, that politics is a way of life, not a career, not where you just go to make a living. I believe this segregation will still continue. Still the youth will say, not too young to run. And I believe maybe it was just a matter of time. The sarcasm will not come that not too old to stop or to pause. Then the woman will not say, okay, female is not a barrier to any disease. Contest. We've seen it in different countries. You look at Liberia, the women did not just say, they didn't just start shouting. They walked, they participated. And let me tell Nigeria one sensitive thing they fail to understand. The election of 2019, our choice, the choice of over 170 million people has been reduced to just 71. Do you understand? So the first stage of election has been completed because 160-something million people who are eligible for that are subjected to only 71 persons. Selected by few. Microsoft, but thank God I was part of those people that selected one out of the 71. So they need to be part of the electionary process, not just coming out on that day to cast their vote. So the women should involve themselves. Right. Just like if they can, I was telling somebody, I said if Nigerians can be just 30% enlightened or awakened as they are religiously awakened, our problem is half solved. 90% of our problem in this country is half solved. So let them be awakened, politically awakened.
Thank you, Tohwo, for joining us on PTV tonight.